Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, I'm going to be reviewing another obscure low-budget Kung Fu feature, and yes, it's something from the past, of course. It's quite an older flick. I mean, why not, folks? Might as well do this because I do enjoy watching these movies. Yeah, this is definitely one of those movies I want to talk about, of course. So for today's feature, it's the one titled Bruce versus the Iron Hand, which is something I have to bring up right quick, folks. The thing is that, yeah, but on the menu on the DVD, I watched this from. It actually says Bruce and the Iron Finger. What the actual hell? But the on the DVD I bought this in, it says Bruce versus Iron Hand without the. Yeah, there's no the right there. This is weird to me. This is weird, really weird, weird. Why is it like this? Seriously. I mean, I find this kind of bizarre in some ways. I guess they would do this to foreign films quite often. That's the thing I noticed with a lot of the American companies out there that they would do this quite often with films with a different country from a different country and whatnot. And this kind of a thing was especially noticeable in the kaiju genre. For example, the one Gamera film I reviewed a while back, Gamera vs. Virus, which was eventually retitled as Gamera vs. Outer Space Monster Virus, which was also retitled as Destroy All Planets for the American release. So, yeah, what the hell? So the name changes can be really confusing for a lot of people, for those who don't know better. But okay. Anyway, regardless of title, I'm just gonna be reviewing the same film, I guess. So whatever, I suppose. So yeah, this is the movie I want to review. And yes, it's supposed to be one of those films where we're supposed to believe Bruce Lee, as in Bruce Lee, the actor, is supposed to be still alive and he's existing within the film's storyline, even though the films that he personally starred in, he was named as different characters, really. So he's his own person in this movie, I guess. So whatever. So, but anyway, and that's the thing, folks. I'm gonna review this anyway, I guess, because why not? This is definitely something I wanted to talk about. So anyway, regardless, as usual, I want to talk about the storyline of this film. So yes, let's begin, shall we? In this film, Bruce Lee. Okay, it's not really Bruce Lee, but I guess it's more like a knockoff version. I guess. Whatever, whatever. But he goes through this journey, of course. He's not exactly having like a super easy life because he has to beat up a bunch of people, of course. Well, that's like one of the main things for these films. You had to fight off a bunch of people. Which, of course, became typical of this kind of stuff, so whatever. And yes, he's supposed to be like a nice guy. He's sweet. And that's the thing with these Kung Fu films, is that vast majority of the time, the hero is like this genuinely nice guy. He just wants the best for everybody and help everyone out or whatever. But of course, he is of course going to get in trouble for like whatever reason. And it happens quite often. But anyway, Bruce Lee, yeah, he's told that he keeps getting into combat, he keeps getting into fighting, but the thing is that he needs to be I guess trained with a different fighting form, I guess, because he's told that it's wrong to use violence or whatever. But if you go to the extent and actually fight, make sure you're well prepared with your fighting skills, of course. So he is sent off to basically learn more fighting, I guess. Basically, what's going on here is that Bruce Lee is supposed to be this no-nonsense, tough officer who pretty much arrives back in town to investigate some sort of crazy series of odd murderers. The victims have these marks on their necks for whatever reason. And the thing is that, as it turns out, the murderer here has to be an expert of a very specific type of fighting style. So, of course, this does need to be tracked down, and he has to take care of the bad guy here, of course. So, after the murder of two kung fu experts, Bruce Lee has to track down this individual, and he arrived from this area to decide to get involved in this case despite being on vacation in Hong Kong. So, yeah, let's just say that he must teach this individual a lesson because that person is an asshole. So, that's what he has to do. Make sure it tracks the person down and just pretty much kick his ass, of course. So, let's just say that at a scene where the more recent murder, there was this victim that was able to manage to tear off a Buddha thing from the murderer. So there seems to be maybe a link. The link between the two murderers is strange markings on their necks or what have you. So he has to basically retrace the victim's final steps and search this kind of research kind of a thing that's going on in the film pretty much leads him to track down the experts in his fighting style. So of course, let's just say things continue to get crazy in this wildness of a movie. So, yeah, that's definitely a thing here, folks, in this film. If it sounds crazy and really out there, that's because it is. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing per se, of course. And I can definitely say that this film does have its own way of trying to play a type of character. And, I mean, okay, it's not exactly a straight up. Alright, it may not be exactly an old playing an old mods to Bruce Lee, but you could kind of what they were trying to do here. Because the character of the quote unquote Bruce Lee character, he's more of a law enforcement type of a guy that knows Kung Fu, really. And like I said, he just happens to be on vacation. He gets in some serious shit throughout the entire movie, of course. So, well, we need a reason for the Kung Fu fighting to occur, and that's exactly what happens. See, plenty of fights to go on through the entire thing, of course. So, yeah. But anyway, like I was saying, he's on the hunt for the killer, of course. And the victims all have displayed these kinds of these injuries seems to be associated with the Iron Finger technique. So, yes, this investigation that our main character is a part of leads him to this Kung Fu school where he asks teacher, some questions and whatnot, and this obviously leads to one of many fights in the film. And the fighting is, of course, a clear highlight of the movie, obviously. The fighting here is definitely well crafted, of course, and it's really, really nicely done, obviously. The overall fighting in this movie is definitely one of the best aspects of the film because it's definitely well choreographed. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this does provide a lot of really cool moments. Of course, I did like what they were going, obviously. So overall, I would say this was definitely a film I say check out. If you're a fan of these types of movies, I would say it gets a recommendation. I like the overall story. The plot doesn't matter, regardless of genre, of course. I like the story, obviously, and I did like what was done here, folks. So, something I wouldn't mind watching again, folks. Film does attempt to have a really tight focus on the story and have a tight focus also on the fight scenes, these fight sequences throughout the entire movie. So, yes, it does both things quite well. I did like that. They try to make it seem exciting and throughout the entire film, so that is definitely much appreciated. It's a very entertaining film, of course, and I did like the villain of the story. Of course, they have to have a villain in the story, which is totally fine by me because you do have to have somebody for the main character to beat up, of course. I did enjoy what was going on, of course. I did like what was done. I enjoyed the movie, obviously. So there's a lot of enjoyment to be had here, folks. So the main character, the actor who plays the main character, he really tries to have his personality be delivered in such a way. It really shines through, of course, obviously. So, and I did like that. I really did like what was done here, of course. And yeah, it's something I wouldn't mind watching again, of course. And it's something I would say that it's pretty enjoyable in its own little way. So, overall, I can say this was a one kick-ass movie. The thing is that I know I have to say this for real quick for those who don't know. Yeah, the movie I saw this one on the movie collection I just watched. I just showed you a moment ago. I watched it from that, and it doesn't exactly have the best picture quality. And honestly, it looks like it's something that was ripped off from the VHS tape cassette, even though this is a DVD. Looks just about the same quality as that, which seems kind of odd because with DVD picture quality, you think it'd be you'd be looking much better than what was delivered on DVD, but whatever, guess. The fact that it kind of looks like a pretty much VHS tape look to it, it kind of gives its own charm in some ways. If I'm gonna be honest here, I do think in some ways it's kind of a cool thing, I guess. But anyway, I just thought I'd let everyone know about that, of course. And yes, of course, I have to bring up the fact that this is the American English dubbed version I'm reviewing. And like I said multiple times before, folks, honestly, finding the unedited original versions of these films are such a pain in the ass to find. Just letting you know right there, folks. It can be really difficult. And if you are able to find the unedited versions of this movie, and yes, if you happen to do that, it's quite pricey. It will cost you a pretty penny if you're somehow able to find any of the unedited original versions of any of these movies. So yeah, just keep that just letting everybody know ahead of time because in case if anyone wants to look for it for yourself. Yeah, if you somehow stumble across it, which I'm pretty sure it won't be easy, but just letting you know it might be pretty expensive. But anyway, so yeah, for what it's worth, folks, I enjoyed it. I did. Even though yes, the dubbing needs some work. The dubbing in this film does need some serious work. I mean, it's not the absolute worst dubbing I've heard in a movie, but even then, it still needs a bit of work, a bit of tweaking. I mean, it wasn't for me to be ruined, to have it ruined, of course, but still, you can tell the quality isn't quite up there as it should be. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Just want to let everyone know. If you want to watch this film yourself, I'll let you know. All right, folks. This video's almost done. I didn't want to keep this on for too long, folks, because there's a bunch of other movies I like to talk about, of course. But yeah, for my closing statements is that it was a pretty solid movie as a whole, and I did like. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of memorable lines, and yeah, even some of the dialogue is pretty campy. Its own little way. I mean, I don't mean that as a bad thing, really. Some of the dialogue is actually pretty nice in its own little way. It's trying to bring personality through the characters, I guess. Even though it might not be accurate to the actual dialogue from the actual version. I mean, I guess it's close enough for you to get the idea, I guess, but whatever. It's better than nothing, I suppose. Ultimately, folks, I really enjoy this film for what it is, I guess. It's pretty straightforward, and the pacing's really good. It never slows down too much, so I never got bored really. So that's definitely a good thing there. I'll give this an overall rating of a 7.3 out of 10. It's a 7.3 out of 10 for me. And yes, of course, as always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah.